in all the competitions. It's only a few sleeps away before our round one of another pumping 2025 season of the AFL HCC, and certainly us in the Bar TV commentary crew are pretty excited. We're waiting on Ash Borg to join us tonight. He's not too far away. Apparently, he's driving well within the speed limit, but still trying to get here as fast as he can. But make no mistake, we've still got none other than Mr. Shane Darwin, our electronics guru, has managed to make us look so flash this year. How good is the stream so far, mate? This is
Well,
great.
mate, so far so good. I'm hoping we keep it this way. So, yeah, we'll see how we go. It's it's another week 2 on this new platform. So hopefully we've got a few viewers that have found us on YouTube. We'll be going obviously live on straight to YouTube, and then obviously the replay on Spotify will come out the next day. So we're going to try and do that the whole season, aren't we, Chop? We're going to try and get that routine happening, whether it's a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. We'll obviously try and settle on a date once we get into the season proper. We'll get that happening so everyone knows we're on live and they can jump onto the YouTube. And if they can't get on the YouTube, well, listen, what else would you listen to when you're driving to the ground on a Saturday morning? Why don't you pop Spotify on and listen to us rabbit on about crap for an hour or so.
Mate, a couple of wonderful gratuitous plugs there for our streamlining platforms, of course. So hopefully we'll get some money out of this before too long.
Well, that's right. We're still chasing a sponsor. We're still chasing a sponsor for the podcast too. So if you're listening, sponsors.
So look out, Joe Rogan. We're after his top spot, of course. But if this early stage is anything to go by, the picture looks fantastic. I imagine it sounds good, and I've even got a new iPad especially for it. So,
mate,
things seem pretty red hot so far.
You're spoiling us. You're spoiling us. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what we're going to do after the same format that we normally do, I believe you've even got a few little graphics to show a bit later on. So, I'm looking forward to that. There might be a little bit of extra cross-pollination of different media through the course of the year. We might even get to do video clips and all that sort of stuff. Who knows? Is that a possibility, Shane?
100% it is. Yeah, I was hoping to get our little opener with a few highlights from last year in the opener, but I haven't had a chance to do that yet. So maybe next week. Listen, no promises, but maybe next week.
Hopefully the punters are enjoying what we're doing, because obviously it's all volunteer stuff that we're doing at the moment. This all comes out of our own spare time. And of course, our love of the local footy, and we want to see it grow as much as we possibly can. And of course, we're looking forward to a great season, 2025. It's safe to say 2024 was probably a successful season, all things considered. I reckon it was a genuine move forward, especially since the AFL have taken over our local competition. I think it was arguably one of the best, if not the best, we've had so far under the 5 or 6 years that the AFL have had jurisdiction. And I'm hoping that we're going to see that again. And as we covered last week, Shane, it looks like overall those turnstiles that we have in the off-season period, which I call them turnstiles because in local footy, especially in our region, we have players come and we have them go from all clubs. There's no doubt. But it seemed to me most of the clubs look like they picked up more than they'd lost overall, which I think is a really positive sign and something I'm looking forward to, especially some of the new faces. Looking forward to seeing them grace our paddocks through the course of the year. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. And I think it's a really healthy sign for the whole league. If we've got our youngsters and our top grade players getting opportunities at SANFL level or even getting onto AFL lists if they can, if they're going off and doing that and we're backfilling them with some really good recruits from other leagues, I think it's the sign of a really healthy league, and full credit to Emily and all the team at AFL HCC. They did a really great job last year, as you mentioned, Chop, and really excited for 2025, and it feels like it was so far away. Bugger me, it's only 3 sleeps away now. How exciting is
mate,
that?
It's already there. I mean, I had planned to do so much more work leading into the season than I've actually done, but life sort of got in the way a bit. But how much do you reckon the Bar TV crew had to do with that, mate? Do you reckon we helped raise the profile a little bit?
Listen, I'd love to take all the credit. I don't know, but I think, listen, it's all hands, isn't it? Like it's us jumping on and talking about stuff. It's the league doing their bit. It's the people at Clubland doing their bit. And it's the guys and girls that get out there every Saturday morning and mark the lines and man the canteens and all that sort of stuff. It all makes the league go round. And we've got a bloody wonderful community within AFL HCC. Sort of from the top of the bottom of the coast through to the top of the Hunter, there's a bunch of really good folk that are involved across everything.
I have to say on that note, mate, I want to pay particular attention to out there in Clubland. I think the clubs had a great responsibility and were greatly a part of the push that looks like it's going to improve again this year. They really seem to take some great responsibility for their own positions in the market. And I was so impressed with some of the photography that was coming out of clubs last year, B, the the online presence, some of the stuff that the clubs were putting out, and it started again this year. The preseason stuff's been awesome. All clubs, certainly in the seniors competition, the cup participating clubs, and the ones that want to get there before too long, they've got great online presence. They look fantastic. It looks all professionally graphic designed and stuff. The way that they promoting, recruiting players and what they've got coming up, their season launches, all that sort of stuff. Last year, that blew me away. And this year, it looks like it's going up another level again. And if we get a sponsor this year, I would love for us at Bar TV Crew to actually pick the best club at the end of the year and try and present them with a little bit of an award, because all of a sudden now, the way clubs are promoting and marketing themselves out there in the online environment has become massively important. It's what's going to attract players to your club. It's going to attract old members to want to come back and be a part of it and help support on game days and things like that. So all those people who are out there helping in the off season, where it's so important to promote their club, make it look great, taking photos through the course of the season and giving whatever they can in way of resources to help promote their club. Hats off to you. You're fantastic. I want to make sure that we recognise that this year, because I believe that's one of the fastest growing, if not most important aspects of a football club, as well as developing your juniors. So, well done to all those people.
And to see clubs like last year, the Entrance Battle Bay, and I think they're doing it again this year, had Bruce out there snapping photos every week. And I was looking forward to getting the Entrance Battle Bay wrap up each week just to see what had happened and see Bruce's photos. And, following along on Facebook and reading about what Wyong was doing down the plate and what's happening all across the league. And I think it's fantastic what the clubs do there. So it's really good.
One of my favourite ones is the Maitland Saints. And, of course, they're playing a different ground, I think, this year.
Same ground, but they will be knocking down the facilities, and there'll be some temp facilities. So it'll be a challenge this year out there facility-wise. But I don't know. Did you see the footage during the week of their, come down to training? Did you see the oval chop? Gee, no, I did. I reckon you could play AFL on that thing. It looked Mickey Mouse, so I can't wait to get out there on Saturday and have a look at it in the flesh.
Definitely lawn bowls. You can definitely do national championship lawn bowls on it. It does look fantastic, and that's lots for a club like Maitland to look forward to. The best part is, I think, their associates or their people who are assisting with that club are preempting the great space that they're going to go to, because they've got 3 or 4 fantastic photographers there, and they're probably one of, if not the most online active online clubs that I've seen. They've got something coming out every single day. Juniors and seniors, they're so present in the online community that I think that's going to pay real divvies for them, especially when they get that fantastic new facility finished up.
And speaking of things coming out of Clubland, shout out from Wyong Lakes, who Emily and Braden Toss welcomed little baby Eli the other day. So there is a fresh little magpie out there, and obviously if Eli can kick a ball half as good as Braden, they've got a talent on the rise there in future years as well. So shout out to Emily and Braden. That's fantastic news, and look forward to seeing little baby along through the course of the year.
Remember, don't toss the baby out with the bathwater. Apparently, that's for a minute there, Brad. I thought you were going to say a new little tosser. Welcome to the club.
I wasn't going to go down that line, Corey.
No, but no, a champion player and a wonderful family that's been involved at Wyong for a long time too. Is the Toss family. So congratulations, and no doubt champion magpie on the way.
And of course, if you do get any, if you're out there in Clubland and you're watching along, or you're seeing us during the week or whatever, and you've got anything you want us to give a shout out for, ping us a message. We're on, all the 3 of us are on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. Shoot us a message, and we're always happy to give a shout out for anything that's coming up too. If you've got a club event coming up that you want us to give a shout out, milestone games.
You want to invite us along? Happy to come along to trivia nights, table tennis nights in particular. I love getting along too. So.
I was actually keen to have a chat with Ash, and hopefully he gets on in the very near future, because I know he did the Wyong season launch, and I think he might have stuck around and had a few quiet ones afterwards. So maybe there's a story to tell there.
Interesting.
It is. Now, since we spoke, we had that big session a couple of weeks ago. We ran through the ins and the outs. Since then, we've got the games published for the whole season now. So that calendar is out.
Right.
I'm going to get into I don't want to say the negative stuff, but the stuff that I don't think either of us like. The bye, we got a cup bye. 7 teams, men's and women's. We're going to tick that one off. I'm going to try not to get too down on it, but what I am I'm.
I don't care. I don't care. It's a rubbish thing. It shouldn't be happening in our top league at all. Not now. If we want to promote it the best way we can, so leave the controversial stuff to me, Shane. I'm happy to say it. The bottom line is it shouldn't be happening, and we had an opportunity to scratch that out at the moment. So if there is any crosses at the moment for the competition ahead, that's one definitely. But there's going to be a lot of ticks to go as well. So it's not all doom and gloom, obviously. But mate, I'm going to make no bones about it. It's not good enough. We shouldn't be having one this year. Last year we could see the problem that it caused. I think it cost certain teams probably spots in finals even when you weigh it up. So let's hope it doesn't have the same effect. But mate, my experience is every single time there is a bye in a bye round in a season, especially when it equates to some teams playing 14 games and some teams playing 15 games, it has a negative impact and it ends up costing somebody something, and invariably, there's an advantage one way and a disadvantage the other way. And we just shouldn't have had it. Shouldn't have happened. Simple. Yep. That's my.
So I think. Listen, I think next year we've got to be looking at 10 teams if we can, and I'm calling out Nelson Bay, I'm calling out Wyong, and I'm going to call out Singleton as well. Let's get you some cup teams. Let's put that on the vision board for 2026, because I think we need it to happen. Get rid of this bye, get ourselves a good solid cup competition.
Yeah, 100%. It's the only way. If we want to promote the top tier of our competition the best we can and raise the profile and credibility of our league to keep bringing people in, then that's the first thing that we have to address, 100%. Do you remember last year on my Bit More Gas chats, which are continuing again this year, I spoke to a good friend of the AFL HCC and former media man here, Alex Degani, just last week in my first episode. But last year I was getting some people I was speaking with to sign up for, the unofficial 8th team. It was going to be the Chop Rats, remember?
Yeah, I do remember the Chop Rats, yes.
Chop Rats. Well, unfortunately, as much as we worked so hard to pull that team together, we had some luminaries there. I think Troy Luff and Morris Wollongong were going to be in that side. Unfortunately, Council didn't let us have Frost Oval at Kincumber. The soccer's actually got too much of a foothold on it. So I'm sorry about that, but the Kinney Chop Rats won't be going ahead this year.
Geez, it would have been a handy team with Morris up forward. I know maybe the age is drifting on a little bit, but the quality would be there, that's for sure.
Mate, I never did a final episode to show everybody the final team, but it was it was a pretty rock solid side, that's for sure. I'm doing the same thing again with my big campaign this year, mate, which I announced from Alex Degani last week. Have you heard about that?
No, do tell.
All right, well, I'll let it go. For those who didn't see the on the gas chat with Alex Degani, him and I have been brainstorming for over 12 months, and you can see all the details on that, a bit more gas chat that we had, but without going sort of too, crazy, explaining it all. Basically, Alex and myself have come up and we've launched the campaign for Team 20. So the 20th AFL franchise, which if anyone's aware of that hotly pursued foot race, we've got the 19th side, which is the Tassie Devils, coming in 2027. The AFL won't want to keep it a 19-team competition because of the bye. They don't want buys at top level. We don't want buys at our level either. But so a 20th franchise will come in at some stage. I believe Canberra's got a bit of a pitch going. The Northern Territory got a pitch going. Those are way too small population bases to be able to be successful, I believe. WA are toying with the idea, but again, long way away for a 20th team, and they're pretty much well. So we think that Northern New South Wales, from the Central Coast up to Coffs Harbour, with a population of 1.2 million, in New South Wales it's got 8 million, is the perfect place for it. We think we're a sports-mad culture all the way up the north coast of New South Wales. We've got the population. We've got plenty of space to build a stadium and do all of that. So we launched the official Team 20 campaign right there.
Nice.
There it is. So far, the only members are me and Alex Degani, but that's okay. We're happy with that. But you'll see plenty more of that this year. And every person I chat to from week to week, I'm going to be getting them to get right behind the campaign. But that's the big campaign we've taken over from Squash Out the Washout. This time it's Team 20. And we actually want our footy community to get right behind it, because we think we can make this happen. We think we can get a 20th team franchise right here in the northern parts of New South Wales.
Jeez, I love it, Chopper. It sounds good. Have you got yourself a mascot name yet, or a team name? We've seen whoever is Rumman or whatever down at the Tassie.
Yeah, no, we do actually. We were thinking I love my fishing. I'm a big fan of fishing. I try and get out as often as I can. In fact, I'm going out as soon as we finish up here tonight. But one of the famous fish that swims up and down the eastern seaboard here, and even comes in and visits the waterways at Brisbane Water here and Lake Macquarie and right up the eastern seaboard is the kingfish. And if anyone's ever caught a kingfish or gone after a kingfish, they know they're very wily fighters. They are dirty fighters. They work so hard. And they'll fight to the very, very end. And we think that's probably a pretty good mascot for the East Coast Kings. So that's what we're working with at the moment. It's not Kings as in Regal or Lion. It's as in the mighty, mighty Kingfish. So if you're not familiar with them, the yellowtail they're called. That's what we're thinking at the moment. So
well, I love it, Chop.
East Coast Kings.
On the Gas is on Facebook, so keep an eye on Corey's four-quarter chop Facebook page. You'll see he's on the Gas. Nice little midweek show to get in there. Well, last week it was a Friday show to get in and have a look at. So if you haven't seen last Friday's with Alex, get in and have a look. Getting our focus back on the AFL HCC though. I mean, I love the 20 dream. Don't get me wrong, but let's get back to the task at hand. Round one. Round one, 3 sleeps away, and it all happens. I've looked at the forecast, Chop. This time last year, we looked at the forecast and we were like, geez, it looks a bit wet. Will we get a game in? And obviously round one last year was a washout. But we've squashed out that washout. I believe the councils have got all the grounds open at this point in time. We've got a couple of nice days of weather ahead of us. Saturday actually looks like a pretty good day. I'm excited. I want to get into it. Shall we have a look at the Black Diamond Women's to start with, Chop? Are you comfortable for us to start there?
I think we should. I'm bringing up the rounds right now. We had a little bit of rain, but we'll get footy this week. Absolutely. It was an absolute disaster missing out on round one. Of course, we missed out on the prime train and everything. That's okay. We got the chop train this year. There we go. So we're going to go with that instead. No prime train, chop train instead. So the round one in Women's Cup, we go straight to Cup.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, well, so 1, 2, 3. Is it three games? Or
three games, and we've got the bye. So 7 teams, so we will have a bye each week, 3 games.
So 3 matches. We've got the Terrigal Avoca Panthers, of course, taking on the Singleton Roosters at home. We've got the Killarney Vale Bombers will take on the Cardiff Hawks Women's Cup at home. Of course, the reigning premiers there. And Warners Bay Bulldogs, who were fast finishing last year, and Newcastle City Blues, who also played in a grand final last year, but lost it, and the first one they've lost in a little while. So great start, 3 great games, all emerging football sides there.
I don't know whether we've lost Corey. Come back to me, Corey. Come back. I'll give Corey a second to dial back in, but obviously some good match up there. I think from a match of the round point of view, that Killarney Vale versus Cardiff game will be an absolute cracker. Obviously, our finalists from last year, they played off in a really close match that Killarney Vale just ran away from Cardiff at the end and won a well-deserved flag after a couple of years of being the bridesmaid and losing out there. They finally got over the line, which was fantastic to see. And I think that'll be a real test for where those clubs are. We spoke of the ins and outs on our last show, and we know Killarney Vale lose a couple of the big names with Crystal Brown and Eliza Hand and Nikita Carter. So I think that's going to be a real ding-dong battle, that game. I was just talking about the Carter versus Killarney Vale one is probably going to be the highlight there. And with a couple of outs, I think this will really test where Killarney Vale are. So really looking forward to seeing how that one goes. And I have lost your audio, Chop. You might just need to hit your go button there on your audio. Maybe. Give it a talk. No. It is your end this time too, Corey, because I'm seeing it's not my little sound bar's not moving here. So we'll get Corey up and running with his audio very shortly, I'm sure. The other game, Terrigal Avoca Singleton Roosters, is going to be an interesting one too. Of course, those two teams were battling it out for 4th and 5th last year, and it did come down to that last round for who was going to get that 4th spot versus who was going to get the 5th spot. Singleton just pipped Terrigal Avoca to squeeze into the 4. Obviously, there was a top 6 anyway. And then ended up going through and winning there. But that should be a really good game to see how Singleton are sitting across the off-season. They've got some really strong juniors, as we know. And Terrigal Avoca obviously recruited very highly with their men and their women. I'm interested to see how that's going to sit. I think, for my mind, that's going to be a bit of a battle for who's going to be that top of that sort of second tier of clubs there. Corey, have we got you? No, we haven't. We can't have a show without a technical difficulty. That's what we love about live streaming. You can never guess what's going to happen. And of course, that last game is Warners Bay versus Newcastle City. Newcastle City missing out on the grand final after that game down at Wyong, where they sort of had things in the bag and just missed out with a late finish in Killarney Vale. So I think they'll be maybe a little bit spurred on by their missing out of the final last year, and they'll be going up against the Bulldogs with City being at home and a couple of big recruits coming in there into that City side. I think it's going to be one-way traffic for my mind there. So I'm tipping Newcastle City to win the game against Warners Bay. I'm going to take Cardiff over Killarney Vale. I think that's going to be a real test to see where both those teams are at. And then I think I'm going to go for Terrigal Avoca at home. Chop, and I still can't hear you, Chop, and it's not coming through. Yeah, I can't see it going up and down on the little meter, so I don't think I'm getting you. If you're following along in the chat, tell us if you can hear Corey. I can't hear him, but I can't see what's happening there either. Looking, so that is our women's games. Plenty of good stuff. Like I say, the 4th, 5th is 5th from last year, and then the grand final rematch there promises to be an exciting game there. Corey's coming back in. Have we got him? No, we haven't. Bloody can't hear you. Sorry, Chop. We are going to duck ahead now and look at the men's fixture, and we'll come back to Corey to hear his thoughts on that women's game, because that will be interesting to get his thoughts on those 3 games. In the Black Diamond Men's Cup, we have our match of the round, which is the battle between last year's 6th and 7th place teams, the Maitland Saints and the entrants Baddo Bay. They are out at Max McMahon Oval at 2 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. We are going to be there, and when I say we, it is myself, Corey Hopper, and Ashley Borg, of course, coming to you from the Bar TV broadcast. So that one's going to be a great game. We'll talk about that in just a second. At Fayen Oval, we have the Warners Bay Bulldogs against Newcastle City. We all remember that game, I think it was round 2 or 3 last year, where Warners Bay got on top of Newcastle and won that game. And I think everyone's sort of mind was a little bit like, wait, maybe Warners Bay are here to play. And I think that was a real awakening for everyone in the competition. That rematch this year holds a lot of excitement. And then down at Adelaide Street Oval, the Killarney Vale Bombers are up against the Cardiff Hawks. Killarney Vale had a really tough run at the start of last year. And I know that Shaq and the boys will be pretty keen to make amends for what was a disappointing last year. Some rain delays, some ground moves, some buys. Nothing worked for them this year. They've got obviously a fresh slate to start with, and they're up against Cardiff, who have had quite a few changes, as we spoke about the other week, and that promises to be a really good game. So 3 games that I think are going to be relatively flip of the coin on. So if I can get Corey to have some audio, we might even be able to get his thoughts on it. I just can't hear you, Corey. At the top of your screen, you should have a little cog button, and then you can go in there and go to all settings. Can you go into all settings and change where your microphone is? Troubleshooting live. How good's this? So let's have a look while we wait for Corey there at our match of the round. So it is Maitland Saints up against the Entrance Batter Bay. As we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Maitland are going through a pretty extensive redevelopment out there. So the old change rooms are being knocked down. They will go after this week. So the broadcast there is being done out there while we still have the beautiful big sheltered area underneath the outside of the change rooms there. That will be knocked down after this week's game, and the development of the new club rooms start. So really exciting times for the Maitland Saints out there. They are doing some great stuff off the field, and we really want to see them on the field. And I think that game against the Entrance Batter Bay promises to be a pretty tight tussle. Of course, we have lost Sam Jordan from the Maitland sides and Ryland Knock too. So two of the speedy back half players from Maitland. It'll be interesting to see what we do there in regards to new coach who'll have some ideas and see what we can see coming out of that Maitland backline, because we know last year they could punish teams with their speed out of that back half with some of those young players. Obviously, with players like DJ up forward as well, they've got a lot of talent in the front half. So it'd be interesting to see what they can pull together for this weekend. And the Entrance Batter Bay, we commented on a couple of weeks ago in our pre-season trade review that maybe they hadn't brought in a big name, but they did still bring in some solid players, and another year under Mitch Eade down there, really building as a club too. So I think we all agree that the Entrance Batter Bay are on the up, and this will be a really good test for them to see how they go against the Maitland Saints at home. So for my money, I think the Entrance Batter Bay might get over the line. They are away from home, but I think the Maitland Saints will take a couple of weeks to gel under a new coach and with some new players in the group. So it's not the end of the world for Maitland by any means, but I think in week one they may just be finding their feet a little bit. And for my money, the Entrance Batter Bay will walk away with the win there. Warners Bay versus Newcastle City will be an absolute fantastic clash from down at Fayon Oval. That is also at 2:00 on Saturday afternoon. So if you are anywhere near the Fayon Oval area, get yourself down there, because we know what a great game these clubs had last time. And Corey, I'm going to cross my fingers and say, welcome back, mate. Are you with us? No. I don't know. It was working so well. Hold on. Let's try again for us, Corey. No. So get along to that game. It will be a really good tussle between two sides that went head to head last year and had some great games. We saw them a couple of times, and it was worth the price of admission each and every time they played.
Still nothing.
Hey, no, we got you. You're in, Corey. You're in. I don't know what you did this time, but you're in.
I didn't do anything different. Honestly, I don't know. I've got this magnetic field around me that makes FPOS machines and computers at Service New South Wales just shut down, and it's done it here. We had this absolutely spot on, mate. And do you know what happened? My phone that I'm tagged onto for internet, which is working great, all of a sudden overheated, just out of nowhere. It just overheated. I've got this out of the freezer to cool the phone down. That's what happened in the first place. So I don't know what's going on. Someone's keeping an eye on me. Anyway, you pretty much finished the show.
Well, yeah. Thanks for joining, everyone. We'll see you next week. No, of course not, Corey. Before I get your thoughts on the men's, did you want to chime in on the women's cup? I need a sip of my drink. Tell us about your thoughts on those three games. I've given my thoughts and who I'm tipping. So.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't be probably too far off yours, mate. Overall, I think we're going to see the front runners from last season still up there. Hopefully, we're going to see just that little bit of extra step of improvement from sides like the Terrigal Panthers and Singleton Roosters. I think that's going to be a really important game for both of those clubs in the context of the entire season. They'll both want to get off to a good start with a good win. They had some close contests, I think, especially towards the end of last season as well. So a win for either one of those sides is going to be quite telling for them in the way that the rest of their season is going to pan out. So in terms of recruits and ins and outs, I don't think there'll be a huge amount of change for both of those sides, but I do want to give a little shout out to, I think it's Emily Docking who sent me a message saying we forgot to mention the Singleton Roosterets last week. I know that we had them on our list, but we forgot to make mention of them, I think, with the comings and goings. I think we mentioned the men's and forgot the Roosterettes.
Well,
so we do apologise.
Apologise for that. Yeah.
So a little shout out to Emily, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. And we're certainly making a big mention of you girls this week. That's going to be
while we're speaking of them too, is Alex Nayland. Is she from Singleton, I believe, the Roosterettes, who at the under-18 trials for AFL took first place in the running vertical jump. So
yeah.
Singleton Roosters, really, they got some great players out there. So, shout out to Alex.
17-year-old super talent and hasn't played any senior footy as yet, but I have no doubt probably will be very close to doing that. So that's exciting to see an actual and a genuine prospect to go into top tier footy. So great stuff there. Moving on to the win, who I think will win out of that. Purely because of the expressway travel, I think the Terrigal Avoca Panthers will take that one out. Otherwise, I think they might be pretty evenly matched two sides there. I think Singleton will have a bit of improvement this year. They had an uplifting season last year towards the end. So, yeah, I think that Terrigal will get them just on the distance that has to be travelled before the game. Kalani Vale Bombers versus Cardiff Hawks. Well, what a bumper. Well, that's great. Yeah, two very prime movers in the Women's Cup, aren't they? The Hawks and the Bombers. Bombers showed that they were best in the business overall and got that long-awaited premiership. But I think you might have mentioned the loss of some big stars is going to be a big question mark over the Bombers, and it will be all up to how well they've been able to, I guess, bring up some of their junior girls and get them ready for the seniors. I think Brad Edwards is still in charge of the girls there at the Bombers, and make no mistake, they've got an excellent women's program there that continues to go well. But the footy factory at the Cardiff Hawks, the Women's Cup Division E, that they've lost a big star in Bonnie Swan, who's another one of those Sydney Swan super recruits who looks like she's on the radar of maybe going top tier footy and being recruited, which is nothing surprising because she was electric last year. And so the Cardiff Hawks will be very, very hard to beat. They are coming and prime moving. Who to pick? Who'd you go, Shane? I didn't pick.
I went with Cardiff on that one.
I'm going to go with Cardiff too. I just think there's four big players that I'm aware of that have gone out of their premiership side, Kalani Vale, and I'm just not sure how well they'll recover from that. So on this occasion, I think that Cardiff Hawks, they've got a footy factory there. They just keep bringing up great juniors through, so they're doing really, really well with their transition to junior players. So.
Just on Bonnie as well, I don't think so. I believe it's the same with Max as well. Both Bonnie and Max are in that sort of junior squad.
Are they?
They are registered to play for Cardiff, so if they're available, we'll see them in Hawks colours this year. But listen, they're both such talents that we may not see much of them. And listen, I hope we don't see much of them. I love them both, and I think they're great players, and I want to see them go on and do that next step. So, playing locally when they can, but maybe we won't see too much of them.
It's one of those odd ones, isn't it? We love to see them. We certainly love calling them when we're watching them play, but won't be disappointed if they're not there, because it means that they're heading to the stratosphere, and that's what we would love to see. As all the hard work that you and I and Ash will do trying to promote this league through the course of the year on the Bar TV and on the grill chats and whatnot is nothing compared to what one of those youngsters will do when they break through into the AFL. So we get right behind them at every chance we can, and hopefully, as much as we love to see them, hopefully we don't. Hopefully they're playing elsewhere. And of course, the last one, the Warners Bay Bulldogs and Newcastle City Blues. The Warners Bay Bulldogs, the girls there, they had a pretty good finish, I think, last year, if I remember rightly. They got they've got a couple of fantastic players there, some real diehards. I think they've probably recruited relatively well, but it's hard to see them getting any. They'll make ground on Newcastle City Blues, which I think is what every club should be trying to do, making ground on those top three clubs. But I can't see them closing all that ground. So I think Newcastle City will get their first round points as well.
I think we're in alignment on that. I had just run through the Maitland versus Entrance Bateau Bay game there. Chuck us your thoughts on that, and then I'll get you to talk about Newcastle Warners Bay, because that one's going to be a cracker as well in the men's.
Men's Cup. We're talking about Men's Cup.
Yeah.
Now, am I right? Match of the round this week. Our first call will be
Out at Maitland versus the Entrance Bateau Bay.
Awesome. Very good. I'm stoked about that, because I think most people would probably expect some, top 4 finishes from last year for us to open the season up. I don't think that's necessary, because, we're seeing some great strides being taken by the Entrance Bateau Bay, and this will be their third year in Black Diamond Cup, in Men's Cup.
Yep.
So their third year there. Maitland started, the last couple of years have been really, really promising. I think that injuries and whatnot took a real toll on them through the course of the year. They started blisteringly. They looked really, really exciting for the first few rounds, then sort of battled through. Of course, they've got a new coach this year, which we're very excited to see how the new direction is going to be taken. And we wish all the very best to Dustin Spriggs and whatever his pursuit might be in footy. Let's hope he's not too far away. But that's going to be a great game. And again, like the Terrigal Avoca Panthers and Singleton Roosters round 1 Women's Cup match, this is going to be so telling. They come up against each other in round 1 last year, and it was only a kick, I think, that separated them in the end, if I remember rightly. And I reckon we're going to see something very close to the same again. They haven't recruited greatest of the clubs, these two clubs, and that's probably an indication of where they're at the moment in the competition. But I know they've both got great sets of juniors, and quite a lot of them are going to be blooded. I've been close to the Entrance Bateau Bay in particular. I know they've got an entire team just about of under 17s that are just about ready to break through and play senior footy. So their ranks are going to be very much bolstered. And I think it's very similar to Maitland. They won the 17s competition a couple of seasons ago. So providing that those clubs are transitioning their 17s players into senior footy effectively, we're going to see some real great improvement from both of those clubs, which is great, and that's what we want. And it's exactly why we need to see a couple more clubs come up from plate into the cup, so that all of these clubs get their fair share of having a few wins through the course of the year and having a chance to sort of really enjoy their Black Diamond Cup experience. How it's going to go, I'm going to pick the Entrance Bateau Bay on this one, only because I think they've been just a little more stable in securing and keeping their top end players from last year, and I know a little bit more about what transitioning players they've got coming in. They've picked up a couple of good players from outside of the league too, I believe, and looking forward to seeing them work out. Mitchie, second season as senior coach there, he'd be settling in to the as residents there, I imagine now. Everyone's gotten used to how he goes about it. So, and I think they're right behind him there as far as I can gather. So, and a couple of new faces in the committee. I think they're going to be, they're going to make some good strides this year, the Entrance Bateau Bay. That's not to say Maitland aren't going to do the same thing, but I think with the new coach and some big losses. I mean, they lost one of the best players in the competition last year, I think, in Sam Jordan. Sad to see him go. And Rowan Knock as well is another one of their gun prime movers. So a couple of players moved out. Don't know how many they've got coming in. So I'm going to pick the Entrance Bateau Bay. And what's going to be a bumper game to open up match of the round broadcast for this year.
You didn't hear what I'd said while you were offline getting yourself fixed, but Corey, it was almost word for word. I think we're very much aligned. We're very much aligned on that. So there we go. We've both tipped the Entrance Bateau Bay for almost the exact same reason. So that's it. So we should point out too that we are broadcasting live there 2 p.m. for that men's cup game. We will also be doing the women's plate and the men's plate game. So coverage starts at 10 a.m. on Bar TV. Get yourself on the Bar TV app, download the app, jump in there, and head to the AFL tab, and you can catch all 3 games live, free and exclusive. So very excited to be kicking that off again. This coming Saturday. Now, down
absolutely. In fact, I gave up my midweek job just so that I can do Bar TV on the weekend and concentrate on all local footy. So I'm effectively unemployed.
So if you do see Corey on Saturday, chuck him an egg and bacon roll or a schnitzel sandwich or something, because he's not eating. He's not eating during the week. He can't afford it. He's saving it all.
I just want to know, I'm a big fan of the canteen ladies up there at Maitland too. They do a great chicken and gravy roll. So yeah, I usually eat 2 of them every time I go there, which is pretty much my entire pay for doing the commentary. So, but that's all right. Get behind them. Support your local canteen.
Exactly right. Fay and Oval, Chop. That is going to be an interesting one. Western Bulldogs, the Warners Bay Bulldogs, of course, versus Newcastle City.
Yeah.
What are you thinking there?
Mate, if I'm allowed to say this, I've got my sentimental favourite for the year will be Warners Bay, I'd have to say, because it's been I'm not sure if they've ever won a premiership in our top tier competition. And forgive me if they have, but if they have, it's not in my living memory, that's for sure. And they've made great strides over a long time under Nathan Huckness out there. The big dig stuck around again and signed on for another year. I know they've lost a couple of players there that are some frontline players, but they've got some great ones coming through, and they're doing enough now that they're actually attracting a lot of players. It's a great area around that Warners Bay, top of Lake Macquarie. So I'm hoping a lot of people are going to be moving there in the years to come, especially getting out of the Sydney Basin because it's so expensive. Follow Big Mark Dignam up here. He's made a good choice. He's up here now. So I've got a soft spot for Warners Bay because I like the way that they play still a tough, hard brand of football, but they're doing it with much more discipline now, a much more effect. And I love their come from behind feature last year, although they won't want to be doing that so much this year because it cost them a spot into going further in the finals. They nearly got Terry Gulavoka in that first semi, but they just had to come from too far back. Very exciting when they hit the accelerator. It just came a little bit late in the game, and a side like Terry Gulavoka had a lot of experience in knowing how to hold that off. So I want Warners Bay to be able to take that next step and push forward, and hopefully even get into a grand final. They certainly got the progression happening. Where they're going to find it hard is clubs like Newcastle City, who just have this tradition of being a beacon of light for footballers and football people in the Hunter region. It's traditionally the way it goes. They're usually very, very successful and fortunate in the off-season trade period because a lot of people move into the Newcastle City region. And from what I look, they've just picked up virtually the equivalent of an extra team in the senior men's side. And they have lost some guns, there's no doubt. I think we say so long to the Pong, which is really sad. Because we loved having Jason Pongrasic here last year. He was fantastic, and he got better as the year went on too. And of course, the Elliot Davey medalist is going to try his hand, Josh Taylor at the South Australian National Football League, I believe, and let's hope he does very, very well there. Certainly comes from good pedigree. But we'll yet to see what they're going to uncover. And, they uncovered the likes of Jordan Deere and Jason Pongrasic last year. And I would suggest there's probably a couple of those in the mix for Newcastle City again. It's just the way of things, and how we combat that, I don't know. But it is the way of things, and it's where we see clubs like Warners Bay, no matter how hard they work, can sometimes be just unlucky or unfortunate because they're just a little bit further up the road, and it's not where they get most of those players. But we're all going to do things to try and change that and try and get a better spread of players going to all the clubs. But doesn't mean Warners Bay aren't without a shot, because they beat them last year and they've got a wonderful spirit amongst that group. They've still got plenty of developing, emerging players. Seb Thomas, I'm a big fan of him, for instance. They're not incapable of an upset in round one, especially. So I'm going to go with sentiment this week, and I'm going to pick Warners Bay at home. Only because I think they will bust out of the blocks like never before. Newcastle City might be ready for that, of course, but traditionally Newcastle City take a little bit to get that big steam train rolling as well. So purely because to cover my multi-bet on Sports Tab, I'm going to pick Warners Bay because they're offering good odds at the moment.
Well, you're really scaring me, Chop, with how aligned we are this week, because for almost the exact same reasons, I'm going with Warners Bay myself.
Really?
Yeah, I think they might just be a little bit more. I know they've lost some names, but I'm going to think they're potentially a little bit more settled than Newcastle City. Have probably had a higher turnover. But yeah, still some quality players, and like yourself, I think they'll hit their straps as the season goes on. So we'll get to our end of season predictions, and yeah, Newcastle are looking pretty good in my predictions at least. Anyway,
Newcastle go through undefeated. So
for this week, I'm going to say Warners Bay. Now down at Adelaide Street, we've got a really interesting match happening down there. We saw Cardiff in the grand final last year. It was their first one for a little while. They were sort of traveling with City up until halftime. Then the wheels fell off. They gave away a red card. They lost a player, and it turned into a bit of a day to forget for Cardiff. So this is the first time we're seeing them back after that grand final. We've got a new coach. They too have lost some players, but gained some players. It's going to be a really interesting game. And I spoke in the break while you were away there too, Chop, that Kalani Vale had a really stuttered start to last year. They had rain delays, they had buys, they had all sorts of stuff, and they just never found their straps at all. So they really didn't fire a shot, compared to what we've seen them in previous years. They had a really poor 2024, and I think they'll be looking to make amends there. So this has got, I think, a fair bit of interest from my mind. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, could very easily, any three of these games could very easily be match of the round any other week. But we're going to find that most weeks. We're going to find most weeks we're going to have the choice of a couple. And yeah, I'm very intrigued with this one because, yeah, no doubt, Shaq did a wonderful preseason with the boys last year, but they just never really were able to get going. And look, I'm going to say there was a large part of that was the fault of fixturing and of washout games and things like that, which, some things you can control, some things you can't, but it just puts a highlight on how we need to have an even competition where all the clubs are playing every single week and the same amount of games at the end of the year. So I'll mention that from time to time whenever I feel like putting a little stick in the mud. So, just stir the hornet's nest up a little bit, but that's the truth of it. They get a chance. They're playing round one against last year's grand finalists. And they will be wanting to do a hell of a lot to redeem themselves from last year, the Bombers, because the club's in a good place. They've got good players. I don't think I believe Flacky might have moved on to try. I think he's tried. I don't know if that's true or not, but someone.
I haven't heard that one. There you go. Right.
I heard somewhere he's trying out as a punter for the NFL or something like that. So I know he's got a family connection there with the American football. Why wouldn't you? Because there's a lot of money in that's for sure. So anyway, I could be wrong. This could have been just a weird disillusioned dream that I had.
Someone didn't tell you this yesterday morning on April Fool's Day, did they? It was like an April Fool's Day joke.
Yeah, could have. Yeah, that's right. Look, in saying that, don't bet the house on it. That's for sure. I don't think they've lost too many at all. And I do owe Corey Shackleton a phone call, actually, because I had a missed call from him yesterday, and unfortunately life got in the way. But I love having a chat with Shaq pre-season. I think they'll be very eager to burst out of the blocks at home and make a real difference on what that happened last year and not let anything like buy rounds and washouts affect them this year. They're a good crew. They're a good bunch of boys. I'm a fan of the club, actually. They've been very welcoming, very supportive of us on the Bar TV stuff. And as Premier's only just a few seasons ago, it'd be great to see them up there competing right away. And I think they've got what it takes to beat Cardiff. There's no doubt. The Hawks, well, there's going to be a lot of spirit there, obviously. Some off-season heartbreak there at the football club, and I imagine that they'll be wanting to start their year very, very well in honour of Danny Priest, of course. There's no doubt he's done so well with their senior men's. And are they able to keep that on track? Because I imagine there was a plan with underneath Danny Priest as a coach. So I imagine all those players and all those fighters and warriors at that squad are still there, still amongst it, and they've got even more to play for this year. They lost a grand final last year. They'll be slowly working their way up towards top tier contention, and they'll be there again this year. And it's just how they managed to, override some of that heartbreak that they've had in the off season and channel that into some really positive, progressive football on the field. So if they do that, they'll be almost impossible to beat on the weekend. And anything short of that, then it could be a difficult day for them. That might mean they need a few weeks to ease into their groove. They'll make no mistake; they'll be there right at the end. And I would expect that they. Yeah, I just got a message from Corey Shackleton now that Flack is going to play NFL. So, how about that? What a
There we go.
chop nose.
The top gets the scoops. Well done.
Chop gets a scoop. Well, if that's the case, far out, we'll be watching him readily, won't we? Just wait to see how that goes because he is a dead set speedster, and so long as he can run just as fast with about 20 pounds of armour on him. But mate, if it's just the kicking he's going to do, mate, who knows? Can't wait to see how that works out. That's wonderful. I know he's got an uncle, I think, who's a punter over in the NFL or something at the moment too. So good luck to Flacky for that. That's great. That's a big loss. Big loss for the Bombers, but I think they've got players to be able to cover for that. So that's how it's going to go for me. That's what it's all based upon. And on this occasion, I'm going to go with the Bombers at home.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to go one against you at least for this week because I feel like we've been the same every game so far. I'm actually going to take Cardiff. They are coming off that grand final appearance, and I think they'll just get over the line there. Really excited to see that Killarney Vale team, though. I still think Reeve Simmons has got the best mullet in the league. So I think if he's there in ruck or positioned up forward wherever they need him, I think they're always a good chance. So,
there's no shortage of mullet. There's no shortage of mullets at Killarney Vale. I think there could be, 6 or 7 of the finest ones you're ever likely to see. There's more mullet at Adelaide Street Oval than there is in Kincumber Creek right now.
And of course, that means we don't get to see the Pit Dog go up back into the league again. We do have a bye with Terrigal Avoca, but we'll see them again next week. So we
might see if we can have a chat with a few of the big goal kickers next week. I know Andy Baldwin and myself will probably start doing the waving flags thing. We're waving flags and chasing bags. A little chat. We talk about the goal kicking competition through the course of the year. So we might see if we can get a few of the club's big goal kickers on there to have a chat about that. And Harrison Pitt will be one of them. Of course, Caden McNamara, another one of the Sydney Swans, prodigious Sydney Swans talent, who also finished quite high up in the recent combine testing, I believe. So how often we'll see him for the Terrigal Avoca Panthers this year will be interesting. He's another one that we hope we don't see a lot of because it means that he's obviously moving on to bigger things. So, but there's 4 of those players, I believe, 2 in the women's comp and 2 in the men's comp that we'll be watching very, very closely.
Yeah, so Caden got equal 4th in the vertical jump category. Max King got 2nd in that. And
word has it that both of those players would be able to jump clear over the top of me, standing dead straight up without me having to duck at all. So
yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
And Max also got 4th in the 20-meter sprint. I don't know how your 20-meter sprint is, Chop. I don't know whether you'd be able to do that in what I think he did it in 2.8 seconds or something for the 20 meters. I don't know what your 20 is like. Mine's probably closer to about 20 seconds. But anyway,
I can't remember the last time I actually sprinted 20 meters. But do you imagine how quick Max Kim would be able to get the mail every afternoon? He'd just get out to that letterbox so quickly, wouldn't he?
He would indeed. So that is the week ahead. Very exciting to be getting back into round 1. I did reach out to the trio of knowledgeable people earlier in the week asking for predictions for the year, and unfortunately Ash has been held up. He's not able to join us tonight, but I did want to run through our end of year predictions. So
are we about to see graphics? Are we about to see graphics?
Well, it's not, don't get too excited. It's just going to be a screen. I don't want to build it up too much.
I'm
but
excited.
I did want to at least put it into the show because it gives something for people to laugh at the end of the year when we're completely wrong. So it's going to be there for all time. So let's have a look. We're going to have a look at the women's first and having a look at where our predictions are. Here we go. We've got them up on the screen there now. So, Corey, talk us through your top 4 and why you went with them.
All right. So, hard to see a change with those top 3 sides. They are just miles ahead of everyone at the moment, I think. And they are the benchmark standards which the other 4 competing sides and hopefully more in the years to come have to chase down. Newcastle City, just like their men's, their women's look like they've recruited plenty. They've got juniors that have gone up to and transferred into their senior club, plenty. So they'll be stinging from last year. So it's hard to see them not being on top again this year. It's almost a safe bet. Like they'd probably be paying nothing at Sports Tab, so you wouldn't put any money on them. But it's hard to see them dropping down. They've just had such a good program, such a big demographic to choose from, and plenty of talent pool coming up through. So again, as much as we like to see the very best, and that's the top tier, it is tough for other clubs to compete with that at times. But that's what other clubs have to set their sights on and work hard to try and achieve. Cardiff, I think the little footy factory are just continuing to roll them out. So I think they'll play off at a grand final again. So maybe up against Newcastle City this time. KV, it was hard to do this because I loved watching the Bombers do as well as what the girls did last year. But again, I just can't see enough in their ins and outs to cover those 4 players that are going out that are just massive. They're so big. But I hope they prove me wrong. I really do, because I really enjoyed the season that the Bombers girls had last year, and I'd like to see them continue again. They've got a great factory going on there too. The entrance Barrow Bay, well, maybe a little bit of sentiment there. Although when I say sentiment, my life member club moves out of that top 4 in exchange for the entrance Barrow Bay. So I'm going to be hated somewhere on the Central Coast, I'm sure. But I say this about the entrance Barrow Bay just because I'm so impressed with how well their first year in Black Diamond Cup last year, how well that they went. They've got a great vibe there amongst their women's program. The girls are great. They're so into it. They look like they've picked up a few extra players this year. They'll be better for it after having 1 year in Cup, and I don't think they're that far out of it. So I think they'll move forward. I think there'll be a lot of hopes in their girls' Cup side doing well this year, and I reckon what I can see at that club is their boys get around their girls as much as their girls get around their boys. They're a real one club mentality there, and I love that. So, and it would be great to see them in just a few years in Cup competition to send a message to all those clubs who aren't ballsy enough to take the leap into Cup yet. And I'm saying that's right. I'm saying that to the ones who aren't ballsy enough to get into Cup yet. Then take a leaf out of the entrance Barrow Bay, who are just soldiering on and doing everything they can. Hats off to them, and I would love to see their girls get into the top 4 in Women's Cup this year.
Yeah, and listen, they were the bolster team for my mind last year. They came in that first year, and they won games, and they won plenty of games. Yep. It wasn't just a one game here. There was continued wins, and in that sort of tier 2 of that Cup competition, they held their heads high and really matched it. So a good choice there. Now Ash has gone for the same top 3, but he's picked Terrigal Avoca in that 4th position. So going with where they finished, through the final series last year, ended up sort of finishing in that 4th spot. Yep. I've gone for a different 4th team. And once again, listen, Newcastle, Cardiff and Killarney Vale, the 3 of us have all picked them in that order for the top 3. I really like what Singleton are doing out there with some of the young players, Molly Thomas, the Rademeyer girls. I think they've got a lot of young talent. So I'd like to see Singleton be knocking on the door for that 4th spot proper this year. They sort of snuck into that 4th spot and got the double chance in the standard season, but then they weren't good enough in the finals, and Terrigal Avoca beat them there. So I think this year is the chance for them to step up and do that as well. We are getting
Krispy Kremes.
Well, box of Krispy Kreme. We'll put them on the line.
Sure. Yep.
We neglected the Singleton Roosterettes in our last show, apparently. But so shout out to them this time. And the other thing I do want to shout out, I think we're going out to Rose Point, obviously, during the year to see them out there. By about round 4 or 5, I think it is, their new club rooms will be ready to go. So, being the beneficiaries of some wonderful funding there to get upgraded club rooms, they're going to be fantastic. And like every club, it's been a struggle to get a men's change room facility and a women's change room facility, and there's been a lot of sharing. And thankfully the councils have come to the party, and Singleton will be unveiling those new club rooms pretty soon. And Maitland's obviously then following up a little bit behind. It's great to see councils investing in the sport as well. So
election year, times there. It's an election year. If anyone didn't cash in on the fact that it was an election year and go and get some extra funding for their local sports community, they missed out on a huge opportunity, because that's when the government want to spend and they want your vote.
So that's our Women's Cup predictions. Let's have a look at our Men's Cup predictions. Have we been any different here? Well, we've been a little bit different. Corey, you've gone, well, the 3 of us have all picked Newcastle City on top. So there you go. That's saying something. Talk to us about your 4 and why you've picked those teams.
Yeah. Same reason again. Newcastle City were very strong last year. They've lost a couple of stars, but they've looked like they might have gained more again. So it just I've got as much respect and good friends that I have out at Newcastle City now. They have a great benefit in the off season of just being a beacon for football, local footy. So it looked to me like they've been a great beneficiary. I could be wrong because I haven't spoken to anyone at the club directly at all this year, and actually, nor at any of the clubs so far this year, which is unusual for me because I like to be a bit of a busybody at this time of year. But I haven't so far, and if I am wrong, but just looking at the transfer list, it looks to me like Newcastle City have been a huge beneficiary in the off-season turnstiles, and so they've certainly been the input has been much better than the output, that's for sure. So hard to see them not getting the biscuits again this year, but marring, of course, injury and form. Cardiff, look, had I not seen that transfer list, I probably would just about put Cardiff on top, because I think this is going to be a spirited year where they've got an awful lot to play for. They're young players that they've been blooding over the last few seasons, plus this really strong contingent of players that have come from other regions, the Riverina and stuff like that. They're all settled in at Cardiff. They seem to have kept the majority of them. I'm not sure if Jacob Hopper's, Zach Hopper's still there or not. I'm not sure if he's still at Cardiff. I'd love to know because he didn't end up playing last year. I'd love to see him have a run again because, namely because he's a hopper and we love that. But we still would love to see him because he's a gun. And so if they've got players like that coming through, they're going to be great. They'll have Max King around. So I think if Newcastle City didn't recruit as well as it looks like they recruit, I probably would have had Cardiff sitting on top of the ladder. I think this would be their year. Still could be. Turrigal Avoca, they could be better again than what they were last year from what I can gather. Chris Bishop's going in for year number 17, I think it is. Could be 18. I don't know. I lost count at around 15. So he's still going, still doing everything right there and getting it really settled. They've got their young brigade, some guys that I coached in 17s a few years ago. They're all settled in as senior players now and looking really, really good. A couple of good recruits I think they've picked up. A couple of players coming back to the club. So I can't see them going outside of the top four. They could possibly even be pushing further up. So we're going to see some great footy between the top three. And Warners Bay, they're on the way up. It's just, I think all of them are on the way up, and that's the reason why they're probably going to stay there. And for that reason, Killarney Vale, I mean, they will make a really good fist of things this season and probably could easily force their way into that top four. The only reason I've kept it the same is because excuse me, I think all of those sides are going to be in an upward trajectory, and therefore it's going to be hard for any of them to leapfrog the next as we go through. So that's what I believe. That's my explanation for it.
I like your rationale, Chop. Ash has gone for a very similar top three, albeit he had Terrigal Avoca ahead of Cardiff. But he snuck Killarney Vale in there, so he likes what Shaq's doing down there. I don't know whether he knew about the bombshell of Flacky going to the NFL, though. So we'll see what happens down there.
I don't reckon he'd change it. Like one player won't be the difference between them making top four or not. I don't think so. Not even Flacky, as much as we love him. So it's not a bad prediction by Ash at all. I mean, yeah, you could flip a coin on a few of them.
I think you could hit the random number generator from 1 to 5 and pick any of the 5 teams we have up on the screen there in any order, and you may just about get it right. I've gone for Newcastle City. Like yourself, I like what they've done from a recruiting point of view. They're always well drilled. They're always well coached, and they've got depth. And I think you need depth when it comes to playing finals. You can bring guys up from your twos. You can do what you need to, and Newcastle City have plenty of that depth. So for my mind, they will they'll walk away with the trophy at the end of the year. Terrigal Avoca, I like what they've done from a recruiting point of view. I think I mentioned in the last show, I thought they looked a little bit slow and maybe a little bit old when they walked off the park back in last August, the last week or two of August. I think what they've done since then is really good, and they're primed to step up there. So I'm looking forward.
Is it the Pitbull? Did you get excited over the Pitbull coming back, Shane? Is that it?
I did get excited for the Pitbull coming back. I've got to be honest with you. So
They've got a double cobra, a snake, and a pit bull up the front now, and that warlock as well, Jaden Morgan, because I think he must still be there as well. So they've got some firepower up forward. It's just whether they can share the goals around enough.
Well, that's it. But I think they'll finish, in that grand final playoff with Newcastle City. Warners Bay, I like what they do. I like the way they play. I've been very vocal how the Big Digs changed the focus of that club, and I think they'll build on that from last year. And I'm tipping them for third. You've got to pick someone to fall if you're putting other teams up, and I've picked Cardiff. But gee whiz, it's a hard decision, and on paper, I think any of those teams could be in any order. So it's really just going by a little bit of feel there. I'm thinking, no Tahi Brain. We know he's gone to Sandfield. I'm assuming Max King will probably play elsewhere during the course of the year. So I'm not sure how much of him we'll see. It is a football factory, as you've said a couple of times, Chop. So they'll bring someone in that'll be the next Max King and the next.
We'll see a few stars come through.
Them down in fourth. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Another box of Krispy Kremes.
Another box of Krispy Kremes.
This one's a little bit harder because there's a few sides that are different there, but certainly in the women's one, what is that? The entrance Batter Bay, Terrigal, or Singleton. Yeah, so either one of us is going to get a box of Krispy Kremes.
Yeah, that's
two, actually, because the other two have to. No. Yeah, we'll go halves in it.
We'll work it out. Anyway, we've locked that in. So that's been recorded and broadcast live to YouTube. So we can't go back on that now. That is it. Our preseason is done. That being said, I'm sure we'll revisit those listings throughout the course of the year, and we'll give plenty of feedback as we head towards the finals. They are still a long way away. We've got, 18 rounds or 17 rounds of footy to get to. Thankfully, The first one is coming up pretty bloody soon. 10 a.m. from Saturday morning. We'll be live on Bar TV again.
Rep
there is
footy
all around the games.
Rep footy again this year, Shane. We've got more rep football.
May the 10th. I think we go down to Sydney and possibly play Sydney. I'm not sure anyway.
Right. Okay. So maybe
I might be making stuff up there. I know it's May the 10th, but I must admit I don't know where I got the Sydney thing from. It's in my head whether or not it's true or not. I'm not sure.
We might need to get on the CC list of the AFL HCC so we can get some of the correspondence there to find out what's going on.
We will.
Good stuff for us to promote. Good stuff for us to promote that.
Indeed, it will, and I'm sure we'll get all those details as the weeks go on. Corey, we've been jibber-jabbing on now for over an hour. It's probably time we let the people's ears get some rest. Thank you. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Only if anybody knows what I'm doing wrong or what went wrong with my my audio tonight, because next week I'm going to make sure that I've got this freezer pack out from the start. So I don't know why my phone.
It will 100% have been if that was your internet pathway. Then if that was getting hot, that will be your reason. So nothing more than overheating, and obviously the freezy pack did the job there. So
I'll have a new dongle next week. I'll have a dongle next week. I think they call them dongles or something.
Yeah, they call them a dongle, mate. Good. Yep. Good stuff. Well, we got the new. I love the new iPads worked a treat. So the new iPad's doing well. We to get you that dongle, and gee whiz, will be a professional outfit before you know it.
Yeah, you betcha. I can't wait. That's enough from the Chop Train.
Good stuff, everyone. Thank you for dialing in. Catch us each week on YouTube or Spotify, your preferred channel there. Don't forget Chop's podcast during the week on Facebook as well. You can catch up with him and his special guest. He's going to get Andy Baldwin back on for the waving the flags and kicking bags.
Chasing bags and waving flags. It is.
There's just so much AFL HCC content. It's not funny. Thank you, everyone. We will look forward to seeing you all again next week. Take care.
Saturday.
This
Saturday for the broadcast. Tune in. Tell your friends. Can't wait. Thanks, Shane.
Thanks, mate. That's all stopped now. So,
right.
Good stuff. I think your phone just would have overheated. That's all that was.
I'm so sorry. I don't know, but I don't